of inspiration. And look, I want to thank Kareem the Dream Raheem for all of his hard work he does with the engineering. Justin Maz, AC for inmates, Audrey Reyes and Trina Clarkson for sending us your guests, Hannah Glinsky, all the PR people who sends us. We're honored to have your people that you send to us for us to interview, and we do not take that for granted. And we're here again, and it's getting cold, and I've done my prayers, my brother, because what happens is when it starts to get cold, I get a slight bit, because I'm a summer baby and I want it to be warm, and when it gets cold, I get a slight bit depressed for about 2 weeks, and then I shake it off. But listen, man, I'm able to feel the cold, so that's a blessing.
There you go.
Right, I'm alive, and I can feel the cold, and I'm here with Brother Issa. And he's here and listen, Professor, right?
I'll take it.
Okay, Professor. He's a lawyer, and he's from Farmers Boulevard Community Development Corporation. Let's welcome him in, Brother Issa.
Thank you.
And when we podcast, they'll throw in the sounds and the claps and all that good stuff. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing very well this evening, Brother Malik. Thank you for having me out.
Yeah.
It's definitely a blessing and an honor.
Yes, sir.
To be able to spend some time having a conversation with you and with the audience out there.
Yes.
Definitely looking forward to our talk.
Yes, definitely. And listen, we had the seminar, the conference over at York College, and thanks for inviting me out.
Thanks for coming out.
And it was definitely powerful when we were talking economics, we were talking business scaling, what it's like opening a business, how to sustain in business. A few of the people that were there that day that were in the audience, we've connected since then.
Good.
And have been talking, and that's what those things are really about, the connection of the different spirits. And so thank you, really thank you for having me. So talk to me a little bit about Farmers Boulevard Community Development Corporation.
Well, I tell you, it's going to be hard to talk a little bit about it, so you'll cut me whenever
Talk
I need to.
Talk a lot bit.
Talk a lot of it.
A lot bit. Yeah.
So where do I begin? First of all, we started, myself and a few colleagues, few partners, started the organization really around 2008. Officially incorporated 2009, but began the community organizing effort in 2008, really on the heels of the subprime lending debacle and the mortgage foreclosure incidents that were really hitting heavy in Queens, in Southeast Queens at the time.
Yeah.
Mary Immaculate Hospital, the hospital in Jamaica, Queens, closed, I believe, in 2008, 2009.
Right.
To me, that was unheard of. How do you close a hospital?
Yeah, that was deep.
But they closed that hospital. They closed the Charles R. Drew Medical Clinic on Archer Avenue in Jamaica.
Yes, they sure did.
Absolutely. And so in looking at these things, what became apparent was that disinvestment was about to hit the community in a heavy way. And that, whenever, I'm saying whenever, but I had seen it before during my years at Howard University down in Washington, D.C., when a community, particularly a community of color, has been disinvested in, so to speak, or money has been taken out of the community. Investment has not happened for years, decades even.
Right.
The local economy stays suppressed, and then for a period of time, the only groups that are able to catalyze any kind of change tend to be nonprofits. So at that point, we said, look, if money is being pulled out of Southeast Queens and there's not going to be any constructive investment in the area for a while, we need to have a not-for-profit to start to pull down government funding to start to do small-scale investment in the local community. So that's what kind of precipitated the formation of Farmers Boulevard. The piece that led us to Farmers rather than Jamaica Avenue or even rather than Guy Brewer and so forth was that Farmers, number one, was unclaimed by any other organization at that point in time.
Oh, really?
Yep, and number two was very much connected to the hip-hop culture of Southeast Queens.
Between
LL, of course, Tribe Called Quest, Run, everybody around Farmers, Linden, Hollis. So, we wanted to tie into that to tap into the entrepreneurial energy that was part of that hip hop culture.
Right. And so I noticed, so when I was on the website, I saw the building. I used to always look at that building at the Triangle.
Yep.
And I used to be like, when is somebody gonna like finally buy this? And then another thing, there's a lot of, and still, Brother Issa, there's still buildings on Farmers. Because I remember, listen, back in the days, riding down Farmers, all of the stores were open.
Right.
Farmers was lively.
Yeah.
From, listen, down from the Conduit all the way to 99th, all of the stores and businesses was thriving.
Yeah.
Now you can ride down Farmers and from like, it's not as bad as it was, but for like a good 10-year span, from Liberty to Linden, it was like so many businesses that used to be that I used to remember that my father used to take me in were closed, and not only that, nobody reopened in the building.
Right.
What's that about? Can you explain some of that?
That's an excellent question. I would say that there are maybe 2 or 3 factors behind all of that.
Okay.
So one, a lot of those what they call mixed use buildings, where there's a ground floor storefront, but then an apartment above on the second floor. A lot of the people that own those buildings, they have a tenant on that second floor that's paying decent rent. It might be private pay, it might be Section 8, what have you, but they're paying residential rent, and that's covering a lot of the carrying costs for the owner. And the owner doesn't want the headache sometimes of having a commercial tenant on the ground floor. So they say, you know what, it's all right, forget it. I'll just forego having anything in there and just let it ride. Let it sit.
Doesn't look good for the community.
It doesn't look good for the community. That's right.
And then that doesn't help with the economics of the community, because businesses bring jobs, etc., etc. Okay, so go ahead, finish.
Yeah, so that's one piece of it.
Right.
Occasionally, you have a situation where maybe the owners, they want to do something, but there's, in the case, like you said, the Triangle building, there's some other, for lack of a kinder term, infighting amongst co-owners of the building.
Okay.
So, we had
family not getting along.
Exactly.
It was inheritance. It was left to. Okay.
Exactly. And in some instances, you do have investors, people that went in on an investment together on one of those properties, but for whatever reasons, as was the case with the Triangle, they weren't seeing eye to eye on overall plans for that building. For their building.
Okay.
So yeah, there's definitely stories behind why so many of them. But I tell you, Brother Malik, one of the main reasons that we have found is that there are not enough entrepreneurs in the community that want to set up shop. Period. Whether it's on Farmers, whether it's on Guy Brewer, not enough. Not enough. Things. I mean, I don't want to say things have changed, but the reality is there's risk in entrepreneurship. And a lot of folks don't want to take the risk, especially if they've gotten their education. Maybe they have some student loans. Maybe they have some other obligations financially, family. They say, look, why don't I go ahead and get this job that's going to pay well?
Yeah.
That check is going to come every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That beats opening up, a shop, having overhead, and wondering whether or not I'm going to make that monthly nut.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. I get it. I'm in a business endeavor right now, and once a day I would like say, why did I do this? And then my wife and some of my employees, they kind of like, okay, Mr. Malik. So now I haven't done it in a while. I haven't said, why did I do this? But yes, stepping out into business is tough. It's risky. There's no guarantees.
Right.
Even if you're stepping out in a similar field or in the same field that you've already had success in. Each new project has its unique and distinct set of circumstances. And you can't really be the general who fought the last war, because in these new set of circumstances and conditions, it has a different set of variables that, even though you're in the same arena, it's different.
That's right.
And it's a different approach. And so yeah, I'm sort of in a, I won't say a scary place, but I'm in a place where it's like, you know, I got to make sure that I'm at my best mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally,
Right.
so that I'll make the clearest decisions to hopefully to minimize and to maximize, you know, and get optimal results. And but do you find that okay? So, but you would think the economy is good now, right? It's you know, we're not in a recession or anything. Mm-hmm. Usually, so do you find that when the economy is good, people tend to open more businesses or they don't?
Well, you know, my answer to that would be based mainly on Southeast Queens, you know, where I do most of my work, both in terms of Farmers Boulevard, but also as an attorney based in Jamaica. No, it depends. It depends. In Southeast Queens, when the economy is good, normally that's when you see more people trying to purchase real estate, right?
Oh.
Queens is very much a real estate driven local economy.
Really?
Yeah, so when the economy is good, you see people trying to buy, but lately, even that's not happening, right? Even that's not happening, partly because people have shifted their, I guess, sense of where value is from brick and mortar anything into more online properties, online, you know, media properties, media presence.
Yeah.
And that makes good sense, but because the idea is that, hey, why have, you know, a high rent to pay or mortgage to pay when, you know, I could pick up a few pieces of the right technology, access some of the online platforms, develop a following, and that, I mean, that makes sense.
That makes sense, brother. And also, people are purchasing properties. With people are purchasing properties out of the country.
Right.
People are purchasing properties out of town.
That's right.
And you can hire a management company to look after it.
Right.
Instead of buying a 2-family here, you can maybe go. My boy live in Tennessee. He was like, "Yo, Malik, you should come out here, man, and grab up some of these properties." He said, "For a 2-family there, you can get a block here."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, you can, and so people. He said, "Yo, there's people from New York down here buying up stuff. People from, you know, major cities coming down here buying up stuff because they're expecting a boom down here. So people are doing that too."
Yeah, people are. You know, I think one thing that it makes me kind of wonder is if you have a shift of people, particularly, you know, people of color that are shifting into other states to do their investing, then what happens to the base of wealth that's here? Because, you know, again, for the longest time, when you talk about just pure numerically, the amount of assets of black wealth, property ownership, for a long time it was the Prince George's County, Maryland area outside of D.C.
Right.
And Queens, New York. Now, you know, I have to look back at numbers, but I imagine Atlanta has caught up a lot, you know, if not outpaced, in terms of where that wealth is. But see, the difference is not that the wealth is simply being transferred from one place to the next. A lot of the wealth is being lost, period, because homes that have been owned for decades, you know, by black families in Queens, they're not retaining a lot of that wealth because you have other folks that are moving in to purchase, take over, and capture the equity that's there. That's no hate to any other group that's purchasing. You know, I think, hey, if you have the opportunity, go for it.
Yeah.
You know, but I think sometimes that whole the grass is greener elsewhere mentality, it's like, all right, the grass may be green there as well, but it doesn't mean that the grass in Queens is no longer green.
It's no longer green, and maybe we can be conscious and still do both.
Right.
You know, hold on to what we have, continue to invest here, and then do things other places. You know, I was reading your questionnaire, and you went to a historically black college, man. You went to Howard. Talk to me about that.
HU, yeah, you know.
How was that experience? And that's when you became a lawyer. You studied law and
everything. Yeah. I went to Howard for college, for undergraduate, and studied business. Graduated with a bachelor's in finance. Okay. That's how you say it, right? Finance. or finance.
Right.
But and then worked for a nonprofit for about a year and a half down in D.C. Minority business advocacy group, matter of fact.
Oh, dope.
And then went back to Howard for law school
Dope.
and did the law school experience there. So,
Why a lawyer?
to be honest, initially it was how would I put it? I won't say fallback, but that's my trade, right? So when I was in college, I was entrepreneurial. You know, I ran a college tour business probably from the time I was a sophomore in college, maybe 19 years old,
Right.
where I would charter buses. You know, I would connect with companies here in New York, charter buses, and then we would, meet at Parsons and Archer in Jamaica, Queens.
Okay.
I would promote the tours to high schools in Long Island, in the boroughs.
To come out there and visit the school.
Right. So
Great idea.
We would converge there in Jamaica. Everybody would board the buses. We would go down the turnpike, hit up Delaware State, Morgan State, Howard, Hampton,
Do the
Norfolk
roundabout,
State.
right? Come back the
back.
same day or?
No.
Next day.
We did a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, nice.
So the idea was to compete with, to offer an alternative to some of the other tours, like the Alphas and the Deltas. They would do a week-long tour.
Okay.
Very good. I had a chance to go on at least one or two of those while I was in high school.
Right.
But I felt that, okay, well, maybe we could expand that opportunity to more people if you made it less expensive and just did a 3-day thing instead of the 5-6 day thing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to have a little niche market.
Yeah.
So, did that while I was at Howard and began to also develop some other offshoots of that business while I was still a student. And, my father told me, he said, look, I see, you got the entrepreneurial bug just like I had the entrepreneurial bug.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, like my father told me, if you're going to do entrepreneurship, make sure you have a trade to fall back on.
That's true.
Such that if you ever need to just hit the block and earn an honest buck, you have your trade.
You got you, no doubt.
So,
No doubt.
My father's retired electrician, that was his trade. That was the trade that he found himself in.
Nice.
But he was entrepreneurial in his own right, is entrepreneurial in his own right.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, I think the law would be a pretty handy trade to fall back on.
Yeah.
Plus, it exposed me to the type of information that I felt I needed to master in order to be an effective entrepreneur. So the law, understanding how contracts work, how deals work, how to mitigate exposure to liability in different situations. So that was my experience with going through law. I always focused on the real estate and transactional side of things.
Okay.
But the law definitely has been, a very valuable tool.
Nice. You were talking about team building, and when I was reading your question and answer, he's talking about team building, and it's funny because we have professional development day at one of my centers tomorrow, and I'm gonna talk about our corporate structure and how we're operating, with efficiency and effectiveness. But then I'm part of it. I'm also gonna discuss the culture of the place, and being that we're expanding, culture is very important. I've seen businesses go under because the culture of the place was poor. And team building requires a certain level of unity. Talk to me about team building, because you really mentioned that, and I wanted you to kind of expound on that.
Well, I forgot what I mentioned on the questionnaire, and I'm gonna probably turn that question back to you to talk more on it. But
Right.
that's been probably my biggest challenge over the years in terms of both organization as well as entrepreneurial endeavors. And I'm still trying to learn team building in the way that I'm supposed to know it.
Right.
I'm a believer. I know I have my Muslim name, which comes from my father, who chose Islam for himself as a young man, matter of fact. That was the faith path that he has chosen, which I respect, honor, and appreciate.
Right.
During law school, I chose to follow Christ myself. I still, maintain my Muslim name.
Gotcha.
That was, Islam was the way that I found Christ, put it like that.
Okay.
Odd as that may sound, but those who understand, what I mean know what I mean there.
Yeah.
But, Jesus, when he began his ministry, he began by calling disciples, by saying, okay, I like what I see. Whatever he saw in Peter, he said, okay, come, follow me.
Gotcha.
I'll make you a fisher of men. Come. And he would do that before going around performing the miracles. He built a team.
Yes.
So I said, okay, this is powerful. I need to understand this. What is it about this team building process? And obviously Jesus is Jesus, but other people have to build team as well. They have to communicate what the objective is, what the mission is, and communicate, hey, what you have to bring is something of value. You'll be valued as a member of this team. Come follow me, come roll with me. So that's been a challenge for me. It's been a challenge, I feel like, partly because a lot of the things that that I'm striving towards with the organization, even some of the entrepreneurial endeavors, are not that popular, so to speak. It's not. It doesn't have the allure of certain other things.
It's not trending, right?
Not trending. So trying to figure that out. So like you said, you're talking to your crew, your team about culture. So school me. What are some of the things?
Well, So what I find with visions, you gotta kind of get people to come along with the vision, right? The vision of the leaders, and then you gotta kind of ask. I try to ask them, well, where do you see your place in this organization? And people usually they're looking from when they're workers or even in management position, they're still from the outside because they're not the owners. They can look in from the outside and maybe point out some things to you that you don't see.
Okay.
Which is good. Part of it is also understanding that everybody has a shelf life when it comes to the vision, and trying to really accept people's roles, however limited they are, and accept that everybody necessarily isn't going to be there in the long run to see the vision through.
Okay. It's real talk.
And it doesn't make them bad or good.
Right.
So, listen. And in the military, you got people that make the bullets, right? But they don't necessarily shoot the guns. You got people who make the clothing. They don't necessarily wear the clothing to war. You have people that make the food, right? So there's different parts of a mission, and people will support in. And so my thing was, I used to get resentful with people, and I would be like, oh, they said they were all in. Now they're just saying they could contribute $500 towards what we're doing. No, take the $500 with grace. Yeah, they started out as they was all in, or they might have offered to just come for moral support, or they might have just offered to volunteer. Hey, I can volunteer once a month. Accept that from people, Malik.
Right.
When I was younger, I used to be like, nah, you know what? I don't even need it. Get the hell out of here. No. Accept it. But not only that, in team building, really making sure the culture's right. And I also understand that we suffer from the Willie Lynch syndrome. We were broken people. We 276 years of neo-colonialism that really hasn't ended. It's just here in different forms. That we have trust issues when it comes to each other. Some of us more than others. I would like to think of myself as a conscious black man, but I still find myself trying to fight past not trusting and not totally embracing my brother and sister.
Okay.
In different dynamics. It's there in me. Listen, it's there, man.
Yeah.
When people try to walk around and act like they're just super conscious, no, man, it's there. It's there in all of us.
Yeah.
I don't, off the bat, give you the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes I gotta go back in prayer and meditation, and I gotta okay, Malik, I gotta catch myself and say, yo, allow the brother or the sister to prove you wrong.
Got you.
Let them prove. You might have had some little suspicions or whatever it is. And then sometimes, honestly, we just look Sometimes I just look at somebody and yo. So my mother passed away, and she transitioned. She transitioned to be an elder. This was in 2009, and her last words to ancestor, not elder. She transitioned, and her last words to me was, Malik, remember, we don't choose who we're gonna help. Those were her last words to me, Brother Issa. Now, out of all of the things she could have said to me, she could have said, I'm proud of you, son, keep up take care of the family. She could have said 100 different things to me.
Right.
She said, remember, we don't choose who we're gonna help. And a couple of weeks after she passed, I realized that my so-called altruistic lifestyle that I engage in was selective.
Okay.
That I had to kind of like you to go all in to help you.
Okay.
You had to fit a description. You had to, kind of listen to what I told you to also. Because my thing was, I don't got time for people that don't want to listen. I'm trying to help you. If you ain't going to listen, I'll move on to the next one who does want to listen. And some of that is a little true because I can't waste a whole lot of time on somebody that's not taking what I'm trying to give them when there's somebody else that's like, yo, brother, give me more.
Right.
And they ride my coattail like, yo, I want more. But I was very, 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 very selective in who I engaged with. And I'm telling you, that piece that my mother gave me, it opened up my world. In the last 10 years, I've had more success.
Oh, wow.
In business and finance as a result of that.
How is that now?
Because my blessings came in my giving.
Right.
My blessings came. My blessings, I wouldn't even say they run parallel to my giving because I get so much more. I just think I've gotten more than I actually have given or that I deserve.
Mm-hmm.
It far outweighs it.
Got you.
And she knew that in her wisdom.
Wow. That's intense.
And the people I've met as a result of me honestly just, like I met my mechanic through helping this brother one day. I was dropping him off and I don't know where my bus company would be without my mechanic. And I was dropping him off. This was about 13 years ago. I was dropping him off at his house. And next door, he said, yo, Malik, let me introduce you to Julian. Yo, he's an excellent mechanic. Met Julian, changed my life, changed the course of the business.
Oh, wow. Just like that, huh?
Just like that. And I was helping the brother was really struggling with some personal things, and I spent the day with him and was dropping him off and met Julian. So I don't know how I got to that. I guess that was God, but really, 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 we have to in our community. We really, 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 especially now. You was talking about the opportunity zones.
Yes.
And how the country is being reshaped.
Yes, absolutely.
I want you to expand a little more.
Yeah.
So talk about what an opportunity zone is.
Absolutely. So, everyone knows by now that in 2017, President Trump signed into law the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, basically reshaping the American tax code. And a lot of the benefits of that change went to the highest earning of the American population. But within that tax change was carved out this program called the Opportunity Zone program. Now, Trump didn't create it. In fact, a lot of the legislators themselves didn't necessarily create it, but it was kind of the brainchild of one of the co-founders of Facebook, who came up with this idea or was faced with the question of, look, how do we take or allow all of these internet, multi-millionaire billionaires, how do we allow them to cash out some of their stock options in companies like Facebook or Google or what have you? They have so much wealth pent up in stock options that they've owned since the early stages of these companies. But if they cash them out, then they have to pay capital gains tax on those investments or on those holdings. So he's saying, look, that doesn't make sense for us to be billionaires, have all of this wealth on paper, but can't really do anything with it because we don't want to give, 30, 40, 50% of it to the government. So they conceived of this system whereby they say, well, if we sell off our holdings and realize a capital gain, which is basically a profit, when you sell off assets that you own, if we realize this capital gains, but we reinvest that gain into these quote unquote opportunity zones, and then hold on to those investments for 5 years, 7 years, up to 10 years. If you hold it for a minimum of, or if you hold it for at least 10 years, then you end up owing the government zero capital gains. So the way to do that effectively is that the gains, those investments have to be made within properties or businesses that are located within opportunity zones, which are lower income census tracts that the state governments have designated as eligible for their program. So when you look at the maps, you'll see that most of these opportunity zones are within communities of color. And so on the one hand, it sounds like a great way to incentivize private investment into lower income communities. That's how the program is being pitched.
Right.
And it makes sense. I'm not going to say that, okay, the program is complete baloney. It makes sense, but the reality of that is big money comes in, they look at the neighborhood, they look at the hood and say, okay, well, I want that, I want that, I want that. And they get it. They see it, they want it, they got it, it's theirs. The end. And so now you're precipitating displacement.
Bargain basement prices.
Bargain basement,
For stuff that if they bought it someplace else would be triple, quadruple.
Prime real estate. Downtown areas that have struggled for a while, but they're still downtown areas. Right off the airport area. So in Queens, there are 3 primary opportunity zones. There's the one in downtown Jamaica, all of Jamaica Avenue and Hillside Avenue and the areas around that, where presently you're seeing buildings that are going up 26 stories high. And it's just the beginning. Opportunity zone all around the JFK airport area, around Springfield Gardens, parts of Rosedale and so forth. And then all of Far Rockaway, all opportunity zones and all areas that have been primed for redevelopment, hotel development, high-rise development, all kinds of development. So that's all great, right? Because you say, oh, well, the area has struggled. We just finished talking about that. Farmers Boulevard. How come all of these storefronts are shuttered? So in one sense, it sounds great, but on the flip side, we're not going to be the ones owning these things, and are not even being invited to participate as investors in these things, right? I can't even take $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 and say, look, okay, here's what I got. I want in. Can I buy a share or two?
Yeah.
No, because in order to do it, well, I should say, in principle, no. In actuality, yes, but in principle, yes, but in actuality, no. Okay. Because in order to participate, as long as you take some of your capital gains money, you could put it in, whether it's $100,000 or $100,000. If you have some capital gains, whether it's from your stock holdings, whether it's from a piece of real estate that maybe you sold off recently or about to sell off, you can put money in. Okay. But you still have to know somebody who has a deal, right? So if you're not tied in with one of those deals, or if you don't create and grab a deal for yourself, then you're kind of sitting on the sidelines. So that's been the challenge for me most of this year. That's what that forum was about, was trying to raise awareness so that those who could, take advantage of these opportunities, then, hey, now's the time to do so, because just like that, those things will be gone.
Wow. And listen, man, It never seems to it never seems to end. You know, our people, our communities, it's just an endless assault and just different ways that's devised to undermine. But and like you were saying, it's not all a bad thing. It's just that, you know, it's a matter of being invited to the party and being able for us to benefit.
Right.
So listen, talk to me about, you know, what projects do you guys have coming up? Farmers Corporation, Development Corporation. What projects do you guys have coming up?
Sure. Well, first, let me just mention a small venue we call a micro venue that our organization maintains on Farmers Boulevard and 114th Drive called Seed Capital Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Seed Capital Cafe is a small space of about 225 square feet, very small, but we use it for workshops of our own, but then we make it available to other entrepreneurs, artists, even educators in the community that need a small space outside of their home, in the neighborhood, in the community, on the main street, to do their own exhibits, workshops, podcasts, art exhibits, art events, pop-up shops, retail establishments or retail events. We make that space available for $10 an hour for entrepreneurs and artists and educators that are based in and around the Southeast Queens community.
Oh wow, that's affordable.
Very affordable. So it's our way of trying to help catalyze and incubate entrepreneurial activity.
Gotcha.
You know, the vision is that people will use the space enough to where they outgrow it. They develop, you know, momentum. They develop a following. They outgrow that space. Get another spot. And now they have to take over one of these, you know, vacant spaces that are on Farmers, or Guy Brewer, or America.
Great idea.
So, thank you. We've had that for a couple of years now. It's beginning to gain some more momentum. Folks can just contact us, and you know, if they want to use it, we have, you know, a number of rules to kind of make sure that the space stays in good use, good shape. But you know, it's pretty widely used for a variety of things. So we're always, you know, looking for more folks to take advantage. Along with that, myself, I serve on a small business lending committee through the Greater Jamaica Development Corporation, which they have a revolving loan fund that's geared towards entrepreneurs that are based in Southeast Queens, including Far Rockaway. So anything in the 114XX zip code or 116XX, we have a loan fund that's geared towards those local entrepreneurs and constantly looking for the next upcoming small business that, you know, is doing some business but is looking to expand and just needs additional working capital to do that. So whether that's just working capital for inventory, for marketing, for payroll, or even to acquire a facility of their own. So we have resources available for that through that partnership with Greater Jamaica Development Corporation. And then lastly, I'll mention an initiative that we've been working on this year called JamTech. JamTech, short for Jamaica Technical, but we're developing a platform, a web-based platform, coupled with, you know, offline grassroots connectivity to create a pipeline of local skilled tradespersons, you know, electrical, plumbing, carpentry, all of the trades that go into construction, along with the IT or computer programming trades and media technology, audio, visual, videography, photography, graphic design. And the last category is the back office administration, the accounting, the payroll. We're trying to create a consortium, if you will, or a network of local business people and entrepreneurs in all of those arenas to start to be able to tap into some of these bigger contracting opportunities that are coming out of all of that high-rise development in downtown Jamaica, all of the high-rise development coming to Far Rockaway, and the $13 billion redevelopment of JFK Airport, which again is obviously Southeast Queens.
Wow.
All of these things have contracting opportunities for local firms and for MWBE, or minority women-owned business enterprise firms. They're waiting for us to come and do business with them. Part of the challenge though for us is we're a little bit scattered and fragmented right now. So JamTech is intended to create one platform that everybody can kind of tap into to say, look, here I am, I'm ready to work, let's get it.
Great. Listen, tell everybody how they can find find you guys so they can, because people need to be able to find you guys before
Absolutely.
we close. Tell them how they can find you.
Absolutely. Well, you can always find us on the web. The website is www.farmersboulevard.org. That's FARMERSBLVD.org. FarmersBoulevard.org. You can always call 718-262-0881. And looking forward to hearing from as many people as possible.
Yes, and listen, don't forget to check them out. Make use of the resources. That's why we're doing this show. And that's why we have these people here. And listen, thank you for coming, my brother.
Brother Malik,
Another
thank you.
Another great episode, Conversations with Malik. I end the show like I normally do. Brother Malik loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.